I've spent my entire life giving, sacrificing, always for someone else, for him, for them, for everyone but me. And now, I'm standing here, feeling completely empty, hollowed out by years of effort that was never appreciated. God, you're so dramatic. Get over yourself. I'm not here to solve your problems. His words hit me like a slap, but this time, something cracks inside me. My name is Maya, and I'm done. From now on, I'm doing this for me. I've spent most of my life being the one everyone could count on. My family, my children, my friends. There was never a moment I wasn't there for them. I've always been the caretaker, the listener, the one who put everyone else first. I didn't mind, or at least I thought I didn't. For years, I believed that this was the life I was meant to lead. After all, isn't that what being a mother, a wife, a daughter is all about? The sacrifices, the long hours, the giving without question. But now, as I sit here in the quiet of the house I've spent decades building, I wonder if it was worth it. It's strange how quiet the house feels now that the kids are grown and gone. The silence used to be comforting, peaceful even. But lately, it presses in on me. It's like it's filled with everything I've ignored, everything I've shoved down to make room for others. It's in the way I turn on the TV to fill the emptiness and hear the same nonsense on repeat. It's in the way I go to bed alone, in a bed that's far too big now, even though I've spent my whole life sharing it. I tell myself I'm fine. Really, I do. I tell myself I'm lucky. Lucky to have a home. Lucky to have raised good kids. Lucky to have a partner who, even if he's not as present as he used to be, still shows up at the dinner table and still talks to me sometimes. But something has shifted, and I feel it in my bones, a kind of growing unrest. Maybe it's the quiet that's making me too aware of it. Or maybe I've just gotten tired of pretending. I think about the way my son looks at me sometimes, like I'm something out of another time. He's in his 30s now, and I've always been proud of him, even when he decided to go down a path I didn't always understand. He's done well for himself, and there was a time when I believed that was enough for me. But lately, he's been distant. Like the things I say don't matter anymore. Like the way I live my life doesn't matter. A few months ago, over dinner, he said something that stung. "Mom, you're living in the past," he said, as if my whole existence was nothing more than a relic of a bygone era. I hadn't thought much of it at the time, but now the words keep echoing in my mind, stirring up something I hadn't expected. Living in the past? Was I? Is that what he thinks? The truth is, I've spent so much of my life trying to hold it all together for everyone else that I forgot to ask myself if I was still happy, if I was still whole. I watch the sun dip below the horizon, casting long shadows in the living room, and for the first time in a long time, I feel lost. And I don't know what to do with that feeling. In the quiet of my home, I find myself questioning everything. Maybe he's right. Maybe I have been living in the past. Maybe I've just been going through the motions, a ghost of the woman I once was. The man I married, my partner of over 40 years, sits across from me. He's reading the newspaper, his face hidden behind it, and I wonder how long it's been since we really talked. We've been stuck in this routine, work, dinner, TV, sleep, and I wonder if either of us is truly happy anymore. The thought creeps in again. Maybe my son is right. Maybe I am living in the past. But the thing that terrifies me the most is not the thought of living in the past. It's the fear that I've already given up everything that mattered to me, that I've let my life pass me by without ever asking if it's what I really wanted. I take a deep breath and look at the clock. Time is slipping away, and I wonder if I'm ready to start living for myself. Maybe that's the next chapter I need to write. But can I? Can I really? I don't know. I don't know what happens next. But I know something has to change. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I had no idea that one little phone call would shatter everything I thought I knew about my life. It came out of nowhere, like a slap in the face. A sudden realization that no amount of years spent nurturing, caring, sacrificing, and loving could prepare me for. I was in the kitchen, making dinner, when my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen. It was from my son. I hadn't heard from him in a while. Not that I expected to, really. But when I saw his name, a small, hopeful part of me imagined he might be checking in. Maybe it would be one of those moments when he'd ask for advice or tell me about something exciting happening in his life. Maybe this was the moment he would reach out, tell me he loved me. But when I answered, it wasn't what I expected at all. "Mom," he said, his voice distant, strained, like he was keeping something from me. "We need to talk." A wave of unease spread through me, pooling in the pit of my stomach. "Of course, honey. What's going on?" I asked, trying to sound calm, but my voice gave away the worry gnawing at me. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, that something I didn't understand was happening. He paused before speaking again. "It's about Dad. I found some things I don't think you know about." My heart dropped. My first instinct was to ask what things, but the words felt too heavy to speak. And deep down, I already knew what he meant. I stood there, frozen. The sound of the boiling pot on the stove was the only noise in the room, filling the space between his words and the heavy silence that settled in my chest. The air felt thick, suffocating even. "What are you talking about?" I said, my voice shaking slightly, though I tried to keep it steady. "Mom, I don't know how to say this, but I think you need to know. I found Dad's emails. He's been seeing someone else, for a while now. I don't think you've realized." I didn't hear the rest of his words. It was like the room spun around me, the words "seeing someone else" blurring in my mind. It felt like a bad dream, like someone else's life I was hearing about. Not mine, not my marriage, not the man I'd given so much of myself to. I leaned against the counter, gripping it tightly as if I could hold on to something, anything, to keep me grounded. The room felt smaller, the walls pressing in. My hands started to tremble. "I'm so sorry, Mom," he added, his voice soft now, almost apologetic. "I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't know how to tell you." I didn't know what to say. My breath was shallow, my mind racing, trying to process what was happening. I didn't even want to believe it, but I knew deep down that what he was saying was true. I had seen the signs, hadn't I? The distance between us, the late nights, the way his phone always seemed to be off limits. But I had brushed it off, convinced myself I was being paranoid, old-fashioned, or perhaps simply imagining things. But there it was. The truth. "How long?" I whispered, barely able to form the words. "Mom, I don't know. I just thought you needed to know." The phone call ended after that, but it felt like hours had passed. I stood there in the kitchen, staring at the now silent phone in my hand, unable to move. The sound of the boiling pot on the stove grew louder in my ears, the bubbling noise like a distorted soundtrack to my broken world. I don't know how long I stood there, but eventually I turned off the stove, mechanically moving through the motions of clearing up, but I wasn't really there. It was like I had stepped outside myself, watching from a distance as the life I'd built crumbled in slow motion. My hands were still shaking, but I didn't feel the tears that I knew were close to falling. I was numb. The front door opened a while later. I could hear his footsteps, his voice, calling out to me, but everything in my head was so clouded, so foggy, that I couldn't process anything. He came into the kitchen, and I didn't even look at him at first. "You okay?" he asked, his voice a little too casual, like he didn't have a care in the world. I turned to face him. There was nothing left to hide. The betrayal, the truth, had already shattered the fragile wall between us. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. I just stared at him, the weight of everything crashing down on me, and suddenly it was like I was seeing him for the first time in years. I didn't know who this man was anymore. His eyes widened, confused by my silence. "What's wrong? What's wrong?" My voice came out as a whisper at first, then grew louder with the weight of my emotions. You don't even know? After all this time, after everything I've done for you, how could you do this? To me? How could you betray me like this? His face shifted, but not in the way I expected. There was no guilt, no remorse, only defensiveness. I didn't think you'd find out, okay? I didn't want to hurt you. Hurt me? The words felt foreign on my tongue, like they were coming from someone else. You think this is just about me being hurt? I took a shaky breath, trying to calm the storm inside me. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized. I wasn't just hurt. I was furious. Furious that I had trusted him. Furious that I had sacrificed everything for someone who never once thought of me. The man who had once promised to love me forever had become a stranger. I'm done, I whispered, but it felt like the weight of 100 years. I don't know how to come back from this. The silence between us was suffocating. I could feel my heart racing, pounding against my chest, like it was trying to escape the weight of everything I was holding back. I didn't know what to do with the rage, the hurt, the confusion. It felt like I was being torn apart from the inside out. He took a few steps closer, but I held up my hand, stopping him in his tracks. His eyes flickered with uncertainty, but I wasn't sure if it was guilt or something else. You don't get to just walk in here like nothing's wrong, I said, the words coming out sharper than I intended. My voice trembled, but there was something else in it too. A coldness, a hardness that I hadn't felt in years. You've been lying to me. For how long? He shifted uncomfortably, his eyes darting away from mine. I didn't want to hurt you. I wasn't trying to. Don't, I snapped, my voice rising with every word. Don't tell me it wasn't intentional. You don't get to justify this. You don't get to make excuses anymore. You chose this, over me, over everything. I could see him recoiling, but it didn't matter. I wasn't going to stop. Not now. Not after everything I had given, everything I had sacrificed. I wasn't going to let him minimize it. I wasn't going to let him pretend like this was something I could just forgive away. I gave you everything, I said, my voice quieter now, but still filled with that same cold edge. I spent my whole life building this family, this life, and you've torn it all down with one decision. He opened his mouth to speak, but I held up my hand again, stopping him. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear his weak excuses or his apologies. I don't want to hear how sorry you are, I said, my voice firm. Sorry doesn't change anything. Sorry doesn't erase the fact that you've betrayed me, that you've taken my trust and thrown it away like it didn't matter. You didn't even think about me, did you? His face was blank now, as if he was trying to process my words, but I could see the cracks beginning to form in his carefully constructed facade. I didn't mean for it to happen, he said, his voice pleading now, desperate to fix things. It was a mistake. I never meant to hurt you. Stop, I said, the word cutting through the air like a knife. Just stop. I stood, there, facing him, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I felt a surge of something other than sadness. Anger, yes, pain, of course, but also strength. Strength I didn't know I had left. And as I looked at him, standing there, I realized something I hadn't fully understood until that moment. I didn't need his validation. I didn't need his apology. I needed nothing from him anymore. You made your choice, I said, my voice low but steady. And I'm making mine. I'm done. I can't keep living like this, pretending that everything is fine when it's not. I can't keep pretending that you haven't broken me. His expression flickered, something between frustration and regret. I didn't want to lose you, he muttered, almost as if he was trying to reason with me. Please, don't walk away from this. We can fix it. I shook my head slowly, feeling a bitter laugh rise in my throat. Fix it? How? How do you fix something like this? How do you undo the years of lies, of selfishness, of neglect? For a moment, he was quiet, looking at me like he didn't know who I was anymore. like he was searching for the woman who had been there for him all these years, the one who had always forgiven, always stood by his side. But that woman, the one who would tolerate this kind of pain and betrayal, was gone, and I wasn't sure if she would ever come back. "I'm done," I repeated, the words feeling final, like a door slamming shut behind me. "I don't know what's next for me, but I know that I'm not going to stay here. Not for you, not for anyone." His face twisted with something I couldn't quite identify. Anger, hurt, maybe a touch of fear. But whatever it was, it didn't move me. Nothing he could say now would change anything. I turned to walk away, but then I stopped, my hand on the door frame. I didn't look back. "You should have thought about this before you did it," I said, my voice low and cutting. "You should have thought about it before you decided I wasn't enough." I left the kitchen, leaving him standing there motionless, the weight of everything between us settling in the silence. I didn't know where I was going or what I was supposed to do next, but for the first time in years, I wasn't trying to figure it out for him. I was trying to figure it out for me, and that was a terrifying but strangely liberating thought. The days after the confrontation blur together, a haze of confusion, sadness, and anger. I don't know when the tears started, but they come in waves, sometimes when I'm alone, and sometimes at the most unexpected moments. I wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, with my heart racing and a gnawing emptiness in my chest. The house feels too big, the rooms echoing with the ghosts of all the things I've ignored for so long. I hear the sound of his voice in my head, his excuses, his apologies, and every time I think about what he did, my chest tightens. It's like something inside me is breaking, piece by piece, and I don't know how to put it back together. I never thought I'd be here, sitting in this house, feeling so alone. I never thought I'd have to question everything. How could I not see it? How could I not know? I thought I had a good marriage, a good life. I thought I was enough. But now, everything feels like a lie. I find myself walking through the house, touching things as if they might somehow remind me of a time before I found out, before the betrayal, before the life I thought I had crumbled like a house of cards. The framed pictures on the wall, our family vacations, our milestones, all of it feels so far away, like someone else's story. I don't know this version of myself. The one who can't stop shaking when she hears his name. The one who has to convince herself to get out of bed in the morning. I catch a glimpse of myself in the bathroom mirror, and the face staring back at me is unfamiliar. I don't recognize the woman who's been holding it together for so long. The woman who put everyone else's needs above her own. The woman who ignored the cracks in her own heart for the sake of keeping things together. She looks tired. So tired. I've spent so many years trying to be the one everyone can rely on, but who was I relying on? Who was looking out for me? I sacrificed everything, my time, my dreams, my own happiness, for a man who didn't even think twice before betraying me, for a son who couldn't even have the decency to protect me from the truth, but instead laid it out on the table like it was nothing. I try to tell myself that I'm not angry at him, but I am. I'm so angry I can hardly breathe. Angry that I gave him everything, only for him to rip it apart. Angry that I let him take so much from me, and now I'm left with nothing but the jagged edges of what used to be. I think back to all the times I tried to make things work, to keep the peace, to be the perfect wife. The late nights he worked late, the hours spent worrying about the kids, the endless days that blended into one another. I gave up so much of myself, believing it was worth it, believing that if I just gave a little more, if I just loved a little harder, everything would be okay. And now here I am, alone, in a house that feels too quiet, too empty, too full of memories I don't want to remember. I want to scream, I want to yell, to throw things, to somehow make it all stop. But instead, I find myself sitting in the living room, staring out the window, watching the world go by as if nothing has changed. The cars drive by, the neighbors walk their dogs, life goes on, but I'm stuck. Frozen in this moment, unable to move forward, I should be angry at him. I should be furious. And I am. But there's something else, too. Something deeper. Guilt. A gnawing, horrible guilt that eats at me from the inside. I keep thinking, could I have seen the signs? Should I have done something differently? Maybe if I had been more attentive, more present, more something. Maybe I could have stopped this. Maybe I could have saved us. But I didn't. And now, I have to live with the consequences of that. I have to live with the fact that I allowed myself to stay in a marriage that wasn't real, that wasn't honest, that wasn't fair to either of us. I feel the weight of it. The years of pretending, the years of sacrificing, the years of being the woman everyone needed me to be, but never once asking if I needed something for myself. I've spent my life pouring myself into everyone else, never once thinking about what I needed, what I wanted, what I deserved. The tears come again, unbidden, this time hot and painful as I finally allow myself to feel it all. The grief, the anger, the confusion, the betrayal, it all hits me like a wave, crashing over me until I can hardly breathe. I want to scream, but I don't. Instead, I curl up on the couch, hugging my knees to my chest, and for the first time, in a long time, I let myself break. And as I sit there, surrounded by the remnants of my broken life, I know that this is only the beginning. The beginning of something painful, yes, but also something necessary. I have to face this. I have to let myself feel the pain, the heartbreak, and the anger. Because only then, when it's all out in the open, will I be able to rebuild. I just don't know where to start. The days after the emotional storm start to feel like a blur, but somewhere in the quiet moments, between the pain and the confusion, something shifts inside me. It's like a crack in a dam finally giving way, and for the first time in a long time, I can breathe again. Not freely, not yet, but enough to feel the air around me, enough to see that, as painful as it is, this could be the beginning of something else. Something I never imagined I would need, but something I now know I deserve. I wake up one morning, the sunlight creeping in through the blinds, and I don't immediately reach for my phone or the coffee pot. I don't go through the motions like I've been doing for the past few weeks. Instead, I sit up slowly, my feet touching the cold floor, and for the first time in what feels like forever, I allow myself a quiet moment of reflection. The house is still empty, save for the echoes of my own footsteps. I don't know where he is, where he's gone, what he's doing, and frankly, I don't care. What I care about right now is me. For the first time, I let myself think about what I need. Not what my family needs, not what my children need, not what my husband needs. I think about me. The thought feels strange, selfish even, but it's a new kind of selfishness, a kind that's been long buried under years of putting everyone else's needs first. A kind that says, I'm still here, I'm still alive, and I matter. I've spent so long running on autopilot, taking care of others and ignoring my own heart. I tell myself I'm doing it for them, that my happiness is found in their well-being. But somewhere along the way, I forgot that my happiness is my own responsibility, that it's okay to prioritize myself for once, that I don't need to sacrifice who I am just to hold the pieces of this broken family together. And in that moment, something inside me snaps. The fear of being alone, the fear of facing the future without him, the fear of losing everything, all of it fades into the background. It's still there, but it no longer controls me. I stand up, steadying myself as I walk to the kitchen, my movements slow but deliberate. For the first time, I don't feel like I'm trapped in a web of lies and expectations. I'm not sure what comes next, but I know that I'm not going to keep clinging to something that never truly was mine to hold. I'm not going to keep pretending that this life I've been living is all there is. I make myself a cup of tea, the warm liquid calming my frayed nerves as I sip it slowly, letting the heat settle inside me. The world outside my window moves, on, oblivious to my pain, to the devastation inside me. And yet, there's something beautiful about that. The fact that the world keeps turning. The fact that life doesn't stop just because I've been knocked down, and maybe that's the lesson. Maybe the lesson isn't just about surviving the betrayal. Maybe it's about learning to stand up after the fall. I find myself thinking about the things I used to love, things I abandoned for the sake of my family. Painting, traveling, taking long walks in the park. I used to do all of those things back before I was consumed by the responsibilities of being a wife, a mother, a caretaker. Somewhere along the way, those things faded into the background. But now, as I sit here with my tea, I realize they don't have to be lost forever. I can start again. The thought fills me with a strange kind of excitement, like the first flutter of a bird's wings before it takes flight. I feel the stirrings of something inside me, something I thought was long gone, begin to wake up. It's a small thing, barely a whisper, but it's there. I don't know what my future holds. I don't know if I'll ever forgive him. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I know one thing for sure. I am done being someone I'm not. I'm done living a life that's not my own. I'm done letting fear and guilt dictate my every move. And for the first time in a long time, I feel a glimmer of hope. It's small, yes, but it's real. I finish my tea and stand up, looking around the room. The house is still quiet, still empty, but I don't feel the weight of it as much as I used to. There's a sense of peace starting to settle in. I think I'm ready to start taking back my life, one small step at a time. It's a week later when I hear from him again. The phone rings just as I'm finishing a cup of coffee, sitting at the kitchen table, staring out the window. The sun is low, casting a soft golden glow over the neighborhood, but all I can feel is the heaviness in my chest. I know exactly who's calling before I even pick up the phone. I stare at the screen for a moment, my fingers hovering above it, torn between answering and ignoring. Part of me feels like I should just let it go, that whatever he has to say doesn't matter anymore. But another part of me wonders, what does he want now? I take a deep breath and press the green button, bringing the phone to my ear. Hello? My voice sounds distant, detached even to my own ears. Hey, he says, his voice softer than I expect, a little tentative. Can we talk? I hesitate. The last time we talked, it was a confrontation, a raw, emotional explosion that left both of us wounded. Since then, the silence between us has been thick, uncomfortable. But now, his voice carries a note of vulnerability I haven't heard in a long time. And as much as I want to ignore it, part of me can't help but wonder if he's truly sorry. If he's realized the depth of what he's done. But another, louder part of me reminds me of what he did, reminds me of the broken promises, the lies, the years of being taken for granted. And in that moment, I realize that any apology he offers now is a little too late. I don't know what there is left to say, I reply, my voice steady, but with a hardness I can't hide. You made your choice. I made mine. I know, he says, his voice low. I know I hurt you, and I don't expect you to forgive me, but I'm really sorry. I've been thinking about it, about everything, and I see now how wrong I was. I never should have done this. I close my eyes, swallowing hard as a knot tightens in my throat. His words hit me in a way I wasn't prepared for. He's finally saying the things I needed to hear, but it doesn't feel as good as I thought it would. I didn't need him to apologize. I didn't need him to feel sorry. What I needed was for him to understand the consequences of his actions. And even now, I'm not sure he fully does. Sorry doesn't fix this, I say, my voice growing more firm with each word. Sorry doesn't change the fact that you betrayed me. It doesn't change what you took from me, from us. And it doesn't change the fact that I can't trust you anymore. Maybe I could have forgiven you once. Maybe I would have, if you had shown me this kind of remorse a long time ago. But it's too late for that. I hear him sigh on the other end of the line, and it sounds like the weight of the conversation is starting to sink in for him. I No, I know it's too late, and I get it. I get that I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I don't want you to hate me. I never wanted this to end like this. I almost laugh at that. It's a bitter sound, full of disbelief. You didn't want this to end like this? How else was it supposed to end? You made your choice. I'm the one who has to live with the consequences. I'm the one who has to figure out how to pick up the pieces. I'm the one who has to find a way forward without you. You don't get to decide how this ends. There's a long pause on the other end of the line, and when he finally speaks again, his voice is quieter, almost defeated. I don't know how to fix this, but I wish I could. I wish I hadn't hurt you. I wish I hadn't hurt our family. I don't respond right away. Instead, I sit back in my chair, letting his words linger in the air. I've heard him say these things before, over the years, in small moments of guilt, of regret. But none of those words have ever changed anything. They were just words. Empty. Words that didn't mean anything when they were followed by the same actions, the same lies, the same disregard for me, for us. I don't need your apology, I finally say, the words coming out more softly than I intended. What I need is for you to respect my decision. I can't be here anymore. I can't keep living a life that's built on lies. I need to be alone. I need to heal. And if that means walking away from this marriage, then that's what I'm going to do. Another silence. His voice cracks a little when he responds. So, that's it? You're done? I don't answer him right away. I think about everything that's happened, the betrayal, the hurt, the confusion, and I realize that I'm not doing this because I want to hurt him. I'm doing it because I have to. I'm doing it because I deserve more than this. I deserve peace. I deserve to rebuild my life on my own terms. Yes, I say, my voice steady. I'm done. The finality of the words hangs in the air between us. There's no dramatic ending, no big confrontation. Just the quiet understanding that this is over. I've made my choice, and he's made his. There's no turning back. Now, I understand, he says, his voice small. I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. I hope you find the peace you deserve. I nod, even though he can't see me. I will. Goodbye. And with that, I hang up the phone. For a moment, I just sit there staring at the screen as the call ends. My heart is still pounding in my chest, but there's a strange sense of relief, too. It's over. The decision has been made, and I can finally start to move forward. It doesn't feel like a victory, but it feels like the first step toward reclaiming myself. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough for now. It's been a few days since that phone call, and I'm still adjusting to the quiet that has settled into my life. I'm no longer waiting for him to come home, no longer listening for the sound of his car in the driveway or his footsteps in the hall. I'm no longer living in a house that feels like it belongs to someone else. It's still strange. At times, I feel like I'm floating in between two worlds, one where I was married and one where I'm not. But slowly, the weight of everything is starting to lift. I've been doing things differently, little things that, for the first time in ages, feel like they belong to me. I wake up earlier now, not to make breakfast for him or the kids, but because I want to. I take my time with my morning coffee, letting the steam rise from the cup and fill the empty space of the kitchen. I go for walks in the mornings, something I used to do all the time when I was younger, but had stopped when life got busy. I don't rush anymore. I don't hurry to meet someone else's schedule. It's like I'm learning to breathe again. Find myself rediscovering parts of myself that I had buried long ago, things I used to love, like reading on the porch with the sun warming my skin, or taking long walks by the lake just to clear my head. I remember how much I loved painting, how I used to get lost in the colors and the strokes, creating something beautiful out of nothing. It's been years since I picked up a brush, but today I dig out my old supplies from the attic. The canvases are covered in dust and the paints are dried up, but I don't care. I'm determined to start again. There's something therapeutic about the act of creation, something that fills the void left by the loss, the anger, the disappointment. As I sit down in front of the blank canvas, I feel the familiar spark of excitement, a feeling I haven't had in years. It's a small thing, but it's mine. A part of me that was always there, buried under the weight of everyone else's needs. I don't know what I'll paint, but as the brush touches the canvas, something inside me starts to heal. The colors flow out of me, a release of all the emotions I've been holding in. Each stroke is like letting go of a piece of the past, a piece of the pain. It's not perfect, and I'm not trying to make it perfect. I'm just doing it for me, just to feel something other than the brokenness I've been carrying around for so long. Later, I make a decision. I sign up for a pottery class, something I've always wanted to try, but never had the time for. It's small, it's simple, but it's mine. It's an act of reclaiming my life, one little piece at a time. And I start to realize that there's a certain kind of freedom in all of this. The freedom to choose. The freedom to be me, without the weight of the past dragging me down. I start to set new boundaries too. No more answering his calls just because I feel guilty or because I'm afraid of upsetting him. No more pretending that everything's okay when it's not. I don't have to keep up appearances for anyone. I don't owe him anything anymore. I'm done being the person who always puts others first. I'm done apologizing for wanting something for myself. One evening, as I'm walking back from my pottery class, I pass by the coffee shop where we used to go together, the place that used to feel like our spot. I hesitate for a moment, a pang of sadness washing over me, but then I walk inside anyway. It's not our spot anymore. It's mine now. I order my coffee, just for me, and take a seat by the window. As I sip it, the warm liquid soothing my tired body, I look out at the world. Outside, people pass by, couples walk hand in hand, and for a fleeting moment, I think about what I've lost, the family I thought I had, the life I thought I wanted. But then, I remember something. I still have me, and that's enough. There's a sense of empowerment that comes from this simple act, from reclaiming control over my life. I'm not looking to fill the hole in my heart with anyone else. I'm not seeking validation from the man who betrayed me. I'm seeking peace. I'm seeking strength. I'm seeking the parts of me that have been buried under years of sacrifice and self-neglect. As I finish my coffee and leave the cafe, there's a lightness in my step. I'm not where I want to be yet. I'm not completely healed, but I'm starting to rebuild. I'm starting to put the pieces of myself back together. And that feels like the most important thing I can do right now. I have no idea what the future holds, but I know that I am strong enough to face it. I'm strong enough to walk away from the things that hurt me and to embrace the life that's waiting for me. And for the first time in a long time, I feel something I haven't felt in years. Hope. It's been a month since I started to reclaim my life. A month since I walked away from him, from the betrayal, from the life I thought I'd always known. It's been a month of discovery, of rediscovering who I am, outside of the roles I've played for so long. But even as I carve out new space for myself, there are moments when the past comes crashing back. Moments when the memories feel too fresh, too raw to ignore. And then, one day, he calls again. It's not unexpected. I've been waiting for this moment, knowing it was bound to happen sooner or later. The phone rings while I'm sitting on the couch, reading a book. I let it ring for a few moments, staring at the screen, feeling my heart beat faster. His name flashes on the screen, and the world suddenly feels smaller. I can feel the pull, the temptation to answer, to hear his voice again. But I've learned to stop myself. I've learned that I don't owe him anything. I don't owe him my time or my energy or my forgiveness. And yet, a small voice inside tells me that this moment, this decision is the final one. So I pick up the phone. Hello? My voice is steady, stronger than I expect. Hey, he says. I know it's been a while and I don't know if you're ready to talk to me yet, but I need to tell you that I'm sorry. For everything. I've had time to think, and I realize how much I've hurt you. I can't change what I did, but I need you to know that I never meant for things to turn out this way. I let his words hang in the air for a moment, but it doesn't feel like it did before. Before, I might have been swayed. Before, I might have second-guessed myself. But now, there's nothing left for him to say that will undo the damage. I don't need you to apologize anymore, I say, my voice firm. You've apologized 1,000 times, and yet here we are. The truth is, I'm done. I've been done for a long time, and I'm not sure I'll ever be able to forgive you. Maybe I will someday. Maybe I won't. But that's not the point anymore. The point is that I'm moving forward. Without you. There's a long pause on the other end of the line. I can hear him breathing, trying to find the words, but there's nothing left to say. He doesn't get to rewrite our story. He doesn't get to dictate the terms of my healing. I never wanted to lose you, he says, his voice breaking. I thought we could work things out, but I guess I was wrong. I didn't want to lose everything. You already did, I reply softly. You lost it the moment you chose to betray me. The words come out more gently than I expected, but they feel like the final piece of the puzzle. I've said everything I needed to say, and now it's time to let go. Hear him sigh, and for a moment I almost feel sorry for him. But then I remember everything he's done. The lies, the deceit, the years of emotional neglect. He's not the man I thought he was. And even if he's sorry now, it doesn't change the fact that the damage is done. I hope you find what you're looking for, I say, more quietly now, my voice a little softer, but no less resolute. But it's not going to be with me. I hang up the phone without waiting for a response. The finality of it rings in my ears, but this time it feels different. It doesn't feel like the end of something painful. It feels like the beginning of something new. For the first time, I can truly breathe. I know that this is it, the last of it. The last piece of him, the last thread of the life I once knew, is finally severed. There are no more chances, no more maybes. This is my decision, and I am at peace with it. I take a deep breath, letting it out slowly, and for the first time in years, I feel free. The weight of his presence in my life, the emotional baggage of our marriage, the guilt, the confusion, it's all gone now. I look around the room as if seeing it for the first time. It's quiet, peaceful, and for the first time, I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid of the silence. I have so much of my life ahead of me, so much to rediscover, so much to embrace. There are days when I'm not sure where I'm going, when the future feels like an open question, but I don't need all the answers right now. I just need to keep moving forward. I stand up and stretch, feeling the muscles in my back loosen. There's a lightness in my chest that wasn't there before, as if I've been carrying something heavy and finally set it down. I'm not sure what tomorrow holds, but I know one thing for sure. I am ready to face it, on my own terms. I think I'm finally starting to settle into this new life. The mornings have a rhythm now, one I set for myself. No more waiting for someone else's alarm to go off or rushing to fix breakfast for someone who isn't there. My days are quieter, but they're mine. I find myself taking walks in the park more often, sitting in the sunshine and watching the world move around me. There's a sense of freedom in it, in just being. I'm no longer burdened by expectations, by responsibilities that drained me for so long. But life, it seems, has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. It happens on a Thursday, as I'm finishing up a painting. The brush is still wet, the canvas full of color, when my phone rings. I glance at it, expecting it to be a friend, maybe one of the women from the pottery class, or even the neighbor who's been kind enough to check in on me every once in a while. But when I see the name on the screen, my heart stutters in my chest. It's my son. I haven't heard from him much since the fallout, which is both a relief and a source of lingering guilt. I know I'm supposed to reach out to make sure he's okay, but it's been easier to avoid the conversation. Easier to pretend like everything is fine when I know it's not. He's been distant too, and every time I think about what happened, I'm reminded of the way he betrayed me, the way he handed me that ugly truth about his father. But then, when I think about the boy I raised, the son who used to climb into my lap for comfort, it's hard not to feel torn. I swallow hard before answering, steeling myself for whatever comes next. Hello? Mom. His voice comes through, quieter than usual. Can we talk? I need to tell you something. My chest tightens. There's an urgency in his tone, something that makes the air in the room feel thicker. I don't know what he's going to say, but I don't like the feeling settling in my stomach. Of course, I say, though I'm unsure if I'm really ready to hear what he's about to drop in my lap. What's going on? He hesitates, like the words are difficult to say. I've been thinking a lot about everything, about Dad, about you, and I realize now that I should have told you sooner. I should have said something earlier. I feel a cold knot form in my stomach. What are you talking about? I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. But my mind is already racing. I've been talking to Dad, he admits, the words heavy with guilt. And I'm sorry for how I handled things. I never meant to hurt you, but Mom, I think you should know Dad's not doing well. He's been really sick. The world tilts slightly, and for a moment, I don't know what to think. Sick? What does that even mean? Sick? I ask, my voice quieter now, the shock of his words sinking in. What do you mean? What's going on? He's been to the doctor, and they think it's cancer, he says, his voice faltering. They're not sure how much time he has left. A wave of disbelief washes over me. It feels like the ground beneath me is shifting, like the world has tilted off its axis. I had thought about what life would be like without him, without us, but I never imagined it like this. Cancer? Time running out? I feel numb, the words not fully sinking in. I don't know what to say. I know this is a lot, Mom, he says gently. But I think you should know. He asked about you. He said he'd like to see you before it's too late. A strange mixture of emotions floods through me, anger, sadness, confusion. He asked about me? After everything? After the betrayal? The thought of him now, asking for me, feels like salt on a wound that hasn't even started to heal. And yet, there's a part of me that can't ignore the pull of family, of years spent building something together, even if it's broken now. I don't know, I say, my voice thick with uncertainty. I don't know if I can go back to that. There's a pause on the other end of the line, and I can hear him taking a deep breath. I get it, Mom. I really do. But I think you should think about it. He's not the same person he was. I know he hurt you, and I know things will never be the way they were. But I think maybe it's worth considering, for all our sakes. For a moment, I don't know what to say. The idea of facing him, of confronting everything that's happened, fills me with dread. But there's something else, too. A quiet pull, a question of whether this is an opportunity for closure, whether it's worth it to face the past one last time. I'll think about it, I finally say, my voice barely above a whisper. The conversation ends, and I sit in silence for a long time. My mind is spinning, and I feel like I'm drowning in emotions I haven't even had the chance to process. I thought I was done. I thought I was finished with him, with everything that happened. But now, it feels like I've been thrown back into the middle of it, with no clear path ahead. I don't know what I'll decide. But I know that whatever comes next, I have to be strong. Stronger than I've ever been before. Because this is the moment where I choose who I am and who I will be, moving forward. The days after the phone call are strange. I find myself walking through the house, lost in thought, caught between conflicting emotions. My son's words echo in my mind. He's not doing well. He asked for you. I try to bury the thought. I try to push it away, focusing instead on the small steps I've taken to rebuild my life. The pottery class, the painting, the quiet mornings with coffee and a book. I've been finding peace in my own company, carving out space to exist without the weight of others' expectations. I don't want to let this new life slip away. I've worked too hard to start over, to let it all go. But the truth is, the call left me unsettled. It feels like a wave I'm struggling to swim against, threatening to pull me back to a time I've spent so long trying to escape. I sit in the living room one evening, the house empty, and I let myself think. Really think. What do I want? What do I owe to myself, to him, and to the years we spent together? The idea of seeing him again, of stepping back into that space, feels like walking back into a burning building. The wounds are still raw, and the thought of confronting him, confronting the person who broke me, makes my stomach twist in knots. But then there's the reality that time is slipping away. Time will never get back. And while I may not forgive him, while I may never be able to forget what he did, part of me wonders if this could be my final chance at closure. Would seeing him again help me heal? Would it give me the answers I've been seeking for so long? Or would it drag me back into a place I've worked so hard to leave behind? I feel a quiet panic rise within me. I've come so far, and yet the pull of the past still haunts me. I think about my son, too, the way he's been carrying the weight of this. He's an adult now, but he's still my child. I think about how difficult it must be for him to see his parents so far apart, so broken. I close my eyes and take a slow, steadying breath. I'm not sure if I'm ready. I'm not sure if I can walk into that room and face him again, but I also know that for my own peace, I have to make a decision. I can't live in this in-between place forever, and so I do what I've always done when faced with a difficult choice. I make a list, not of pros and cons, but of how I feel, of what I truly need. What do I want from this meeting? Closure? Answers? Or just a way to finally let go of the anger, the hurt, the years of neglect and betrayal? I think about how I've been moving forward, how I've been finding pieces of myself again. I think about the small joys that have started to fill the void, like the quiet afternoons spent painting, or the feeling of independence when I walk through the door and know it's my space. And then the thought settles in my mind. No matter what happens, no matter what he says, no matter how this ends, I'm already moving forward. I've already begun. I may not forgive him today or tomorrow, but that doesn't mean I can't have peace. It doesn't mean I can't move on. So I make my decision. I'll go. I'll see him. But it will be on my terms. I will walk into that room knowing that I don't need him to fix anything, that I'm not there for him. I'm there for me. To face the past, to get the closure I never thought I needed until now. And maybe, just maybe, this will finally allow me to fully close this chapter of my life. I arrive at the hospital a few days later, my heart thumping in my chest, my hands clammy with nervousness. I told myself that I was prepared for this, that I could handle it. But now, as I stand in the sterile hallway, the fluorescent lights buzzing above me, I realize that I'm not prepared at all. I've spent so long trying to avoid the reality of this moment, trying to pretend like I wasn't still carrying the weight of everything that happened between us. But here I am, walking into the place where I first met him all those years ago, the place that now holds our broken past. My son meets me at the door to his father's room, his face tight with worry, his shoulders heavy with the burden of the family's expectations. He looks at me with hope in his eyes, like he's wishing this moment will somehow fix everything. "Thanks for coming," he says quietly, his voice strained. "I know it's a lot, but he really wants to see you." I nod, though I'm not sure if I'm doing it for him or for me. I take a deep breath and step into the room. He's lying in the bed, pale and thin, his once strong frame now a shadow of what it used to be. The man who used to fill every corner of my life is now frail, fragile, and reduced to something unrecognizable. The air in the room is thick with the smell of antiseptic, and I can hear the soft beeping of the machines that are keeping him alive. For a moment, I stand there, uncertain of what to do. He doesn't seem to notice me at first, his eyes closed, lost in the haze of whatever painkillers they've given him. But then slowly, his eyes flicker open, and he looks at me. Really looks at me, as though trying to see past the years of hurt, of betrayal, to the woman he once knew. "Hi," he says softly, his voice hoarse, barely a whisper. The silence stretches between us, heavy with all the things that have been left unsaid for so long. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel in this moment. There's no part of me that feels relief or even forgiveness. But there's something else, something that I can't quite name, that settles in my chest. I sit down slowly, but I don't take his hand. "Not yet. I'm here," I say, the words sounding louder in my ears than I expected. "But I'm not sure what you want from me." He closes his eyes for a moment, like the weight of his own regret is too much to bear. "I know I can't make things right. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I've thought about all the ways I hurt you, and I know I can't take it back. I just wanted you to know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything." His words hang in the air, and I feel something shift inside me. Not forgiveness, not yet. But something like acceptance. The pain is still there. The betrayal is still raw, but I don't have to carry it anymore. "I know," I say, my voice quiet. "I know you're sorry, but I can't change the past. And I don't think I want to." He nods as if he understands. And for a long moment, we just sit in silence. I don't know how long we stay there. I don't know if this is the end or just another chapter. But as I stand up to leave, there's a sense of peace that comes with it. I've faced him, faced the past. And I'm walking away, not with forgiveness, but with the knowledge that I've made my peace. This is my future now, my life, and I'm going to live it on my own terms. The drive home feels different, lighter. Somehow I feel like I'm carrying less weight in my heart, even though the journey hasn't been easy. The meeting with him, though difficult, is now a part of the past. A chapter I've finally closed, not with dramatic finality, but with quiet acceptance. I pull into my driveway and take a deep breath, looking at the house that I've come to call my own. My sanctuary. It's strange, isn't it? How much can change in a short amount of time? How much can be left behind, yet how much more is left ahead? I haven't been home long when I get a message from the pottery class. The next session is starting up soon, and they're offering a chance to showcase our work in a local art exhibit. For a moment, I almost let it pass by, thinking that maybe I'm not ready for something like that, but then I stop myself. Why not? I walk into the living room, where my latest painting still sits unfinished, a soft haze of colors swirling together on the canvas. There's so much I haven't explored, so much that's still waiting for me. My hands are trembling just slightly. Not from fear, but from excitement. This is the freedom I've been craving. I've been rebuilding piece by piece, but I've never truly allowed myself to dream. Now, though, I feel the stirrings of something new, a sense of possibility I haven't felt in years. Maybe it's the art exhibit, or maybe it's the fact that I'm finally learning to take control of my own life, but it feels like the first spark of something bigger. I sign up for the exhibit. The next few weeks pass in a blur of creative energy. I paint more than I have in years, each brushstroke a release of the tension, the heartbreak, the confusion that's been tangled up inside me. I step into the pottery studio with a sense of joy, a feeling of discovery that I haven't experienced since my youth. I'm not trying to impress anyone. I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm just doing it for me, for the woman I'm becoming. I don't need anyone's approval anymore. I don't need to feel like I'm enough for someone else. I'm enough as I am. This is my journey now, and I'm starting to see that it's more than just survival. It's about living, fully and unapologetically. And when the night of the exhibit comes, I'm nervous, yes, but I also feel something else, pride. Not for anyone else's approval, but for my own. For the woman I've become. For the strength I've found, and for the path I've chosen to walk, I stand in front of my paintings, my pottery, my creations, and I realize that this is only the beginning. The beginning of a life I'm building piece by piece. It's been a few months since the exhibit, and I've found myself more and more in tune with who I am.